Located in Central East Africa, the Republic of South Sudan gained its independence from Sudan in July 2014. With a population of over 11 million people, over half of South Sudanese live under the national poverty line, most living in extreme poverty of less than $1.25 a day. With a newly formed government and weak past and present institutions, South Sudan lacks the infrastructure to provide basic needs for its citizens. With this, one of the main development priorities of South Sudan is to provide its citizens with sufficient, clean, and easy access to water. This is where Water for South Sudan comes in. Geographically, the Republic of South Sudan is a landlocked nation located in eastern Africa, limiting the country's access to water. The White Nile, a major tributary of the Nile River, cuts through the entire nation starting in the upper eastern corner of the nation and winding through the center of the country into Uganda. With this, the White Nile is a main water source for both agriculture and wildlife, but even with this, however, only 30% of South Sudan's population have direct and easy access to this water source as they live near the Nile. This is because much of the land surrounding the river is marshy swampland that is uninhabitable and cannot sustain living communities. In addition to water being used for drinking and household purposes, water is also vital to the South Sudanese agricultural life. In fact, the World Bank reported that a staggering 85% of the working population engages in non-wage agricultural work. This work is primarily subsistence farming and necessary for South Sudanese life. Without water, agricultural growth is not possible, and families would be unable to grow their crops, leading to malnutrition and, on a larger scale, nationwide famine.
In addition to these concerns, water access is further diminished in South Sudan's dry seasons. Located 220 miles north of the equator, the climate of South Sudan is mainly tropical, and thus, the climate is dominated by the rainy and the dry seasons. The rainy season generally runs from April to November and brings an average rainfall of 33.5 inches yearly. The dry season is in January and February and is characterized by heat and humidity with strong winds in the northern regions. The average temperatures range from a high of 94.1 degrees to lows of 70.9 degrees. But even then, highs can reach a staggering 120 degrees Fahrenheit. During this time, water runs very low in the White Nile. In fact, millions of South Sudanese are forced to leave their villages and homes each year in search for a sufficient water source. Those who choose to wait out the dry season, usually women and children, trek miles every day to collect water from ponds, marshes, ditches, and hand-dug wells. Even then, this water often contains parasites and bacteria that later cause disease and sickness, especially among infants and children. In a developing country like South Sudan, 20% of children die before the age of 5 due to unsanitary water conditions and lack of treatment. Our project strives to increase South Sudanese access to sanitary water through the drilling of wells. These wells will be strategically placed in rural villages and areas near schools, churches, and other popular village sites. This will conveniently allow South Sudanese to collect water. In return for placing these wells near schools, churches, and community centers, the facilities will agree to implement an education program on the benefits of sanitary water and the risks of drinking contaminated water. The education program will also tackle what qualifies as sanitary and unsanitary water. This education program will be implemented in class, during school, in church gatherings, and other gatherings by trained officials of Water for South Sudan. During the education program, pamphlets and visual aids are also utilized to stress the importance of sanitary water. The estimated cost of every well we drill is $15,000. This price includes drilling costs, transportation costs, the salary of our NGO and local construction workers, lunch for workers, and more. We hope to drill over 47,000 wells over the next 25 years. In addition to drilling wells, we will also provide clean, sealable megagallons that individuals can fill with water and use solely for our wells. This will ensure that all individuals have a clean means of transporting water from our well to their home. These megagallons will be placed in their sponsoring site and will be distributed to anyone who requests a gallon and attends our educational program lecture. School, church, and community officials will be in charge of handing out these gallons. The effects of implementing clean water are tremendous. First, it allows greater opportunity for education. With clean water nearby, schools can be built and young children can have greater access to these schools. Women who usually travel miles every day to access clean water can now divert some of their time towards other work, such as growing their own food and making healthy meals. In addition to these benefits, when a village has a well or borehole, it can foster a marketplace where entrepreneurs can thrive. Furthermore, accessible clean water improves the health of the local population, contributing to greater development in South Sudan. With this, Water for South Sudan will be able to change the way of South Sudanese life, fostering development and lengthening lives.